Welcome to Sikorski's Thinkabouts, and I'm your host, Laura Sikorski. My guests and I share our operations and technology expertise to help you provide outstanding customer service and customer experiences. Today, our guest is Francia Smith, and Francia has been with us 2 times before, and she is, of course, a very, very good friend of mine from our days working on a project for the United States Postal Service. And that was really a fun project, and I think today they have 1 million interactions a week. So we set a pretty good ground base for it. But I want to tell you a little bit more about Francie, the consultant. And she is a recognized expert in managing change and developing leaders. I mean, she developed 2,000 people, I think, at the Postal Service on how to be really proficient and wonderful workers. But her company is CI3. It's located in New York City. And she does organizational change, brand management, contact center, channel integration, and a full range of HR management programs. But I think the newest and most fun, is the new workshop that she's doing for colleges. And I'm going to let Francie tell you just a little bit about that, and then we're going to go into the digital customer and the evolving contact center. Francie.
Well, thank you very much, Laura. Well, this particular workshop I do is called The Game of 3, Building Your Personal Brand. And it builds off the concept of answering 3 questions. And those 3 questions actually help reveal 360-degree view of you.
Right.
And the idea is answering the question, what are the greatest strengths you have that relate to your greatest weaknesses? And when you go out, you'll have 3 words that describe you, the dark side of those 3 words, and finally the behavioral balance that's associated with keeping everything in balance. And for college students and also business interns, it's a great opportunity to have information about who you are, so you can step up to the plate when you're writing letters, meeting people,
right. And
for
when
interviews.
you're feeling comfortable on that
Exactly.
interview side, and that's always the toughest part, especially for college students.
Yeah, it's
and
very
interns,
it's
insightful. You've
insightful.
never done it before,
Right.
and it's a great program, and she's done quite a few locally. So get in touch with Francie at the end of the show, because you'll get her all of her information. But as I mentioned, the digital customer and the evolving contact center. And when I asked Francie we needed to do something fun and something different, she said, let me think, and this is what she came up with. So I think we're going to have a great show this morning, and I think the most important thing is the digital channel challenges. And we all hear about channel, and Francie, what's your perspective of this whole evolution?
Well, I think one of the things that keyed us off was this Wall Street Journal article, which was just talking about online retailing, and it profiled digital customers who are savvy customers.
Absolutely.
Customers are beginning to drive organizations instead of organizations thinking they can control the customers. And what happened, and a very interesting article talking about building retail sales at Christmas time, and the abandoning of carts and the issues that are associated with digital customers who are simultaneous, always moving through many channels.
Right.
And ultimately, the final quote that was in this very interesting article was Zappos, which is they want you to call them and have a human experience, which is almost a full 180 degree or 80 degree, 360 degree,
right.
Degree view of the customer in relationship to the organization. So we're going to be talking about that digital customer driving the change that's associated with what we're doing in the 21st century. I mean, I know it's 15 years into the 21st century, but it's that kind of momentum
and
that
I
is really
totally
building.
agree, because today e-commerce is like the norm. Whereas years ago, if you were going to do e-commerce, you were even afraid to put in your credit card.
Right.
And now, today, it's so normal.
That's exactly right.
It's very normal.
Well, and the digital customer, just briefly, is an individual, as we all know, who wants simultaneous information and action. They want immediate response, and they want you to know exactly who they are. I find it very interesting. I call it intimate. They assume you are going to know who they are, what they've done, what they want. And so there's a huge demand on organizations to be able to respond in a transparent and believable way within the context of those needs.
Right, right. I think today, with our millennials out there, they expect instant gratification, immediate. What do you mean I have to wait 20 minutes for you to get back to me? It's
right.
So, and I think what's happening is because the digital customer has advanced and made their place in the marketplace, organizations really need to think about and change how they do business.
Right. I think the mobile app and the smartphone has
Absolutely.
built the momentum that then has really created this huge balloon of customer behavior that is unexpected at a certain level and highly demanding of the channel and the center. And the next thing we're talking about then is the new world.
Right, right.
Moving from a multi-channel kind of experience to, and I love these words, omni-channel. But the omni-channel is the issue, which is customers don't start on one. They use many, many channels. Multi-channel is you have that available from the organization. Omni-channel is the digital customer using many
That's so
channels.
key. They're using it, whereas before they could send email, they could send fax, they could talk to somebody on
Right.
the phone, but this has really opened up a whole different type of doing business.
Right, it's a
today.
simultaneous interaction. And the other words are cross-channel, and then the final one I love most is channel agnostic. And I love channel agnostic because it sounds like a religion. But the bottom line is no one is saying, oh, this is exactly how I'm going to contact you.
Right.
It is, I can contact you in any way at any time simultaneously the way I need to contact you.
And then what happens is that the digital customer, assumes that whatever work you did in one channel is going to appear in the other channels that you use. Yeah, because it's that continuous context of the reason why you contacted that company in the first place. And so it is really the eyes of your customer today, and people need to remember that. And they have to have the behavior. We always talk about behavior and the intimacy of personalization.
Yes, and we've talked about this over and over and over again, and the humanity that's associated with that touch point, which is the collective activities of the contact center.
Yeah.
But it is going to become a forefront of organizations. So the next slide, I think, is
real quick on the contact center. People are now realizing that the contact center is the company.
Yes.
It is, because it touches every single customer in some way, shape, or form.
Well, and I think that's because the internet is also taking up so many of the retail interactions, transactions, that momentum is becoming the cyber marketplace, whereas the brick and mortar is not where the marketplace is.
Absolutely.
And so that sort of tsunami of transactions then is pushing the organizations to an evolutionary concept from call centers, as we started, which were cost reduction centers. They were transactional centers.
Right.
It was you're going to call me on the phone, we'll take care of you.
Right.
It was centralized. It was the idea we don't have lots of phones. We have one place we're going to answer calls.
Absolutely.
And then now most of us, I think, are in the contact center world, which is there are many channels that are being managed. There are more channels being assigned. One size fits all because it was an easier thing to do. And you did start training people for particular kind of channel management, voice people, email people.
Right, the specialization
specialization itself. And now this final phase, probably won't be final, in 5 years we'll talk about it again, the interactive engagement center. And
I like that.
I like that. I mean,
like
because engagement is going to be a word people are going to hear about customers. Engagement is what we absolutely have to have with the agents. And I mean, part of what they want to do again is send you to the right channel and incentivize you.
And make sure that where you are is where you want to be.
Right.
So, believe it or not, we're at break time, folks. And when we come back, we are going to talk about strategic strength. Oh, I can't even speak. Strategic transformation.
Hi, I'm Tim Stead. I'm from Star Communications. We're a marketing support company. And if you need help with your next marketing project, please call 273-1900 or you can go to our website, starcommunications.us.
Welcome back to Sikorski's Think Abouts, and I'm your host, Laura Sikorski. Joining us today is Francia Smith, and she's talking about the digital customer and the evolving contact center. And when we broke, we started to talk a little bit about the interactive engagement center, and we just want to wrap up a little bit on that topic.
Well, and the bottom line is that it is a multi-channel, omni-channel integration, and it also will be one that is a informed, proactive interaction with the customer. And I think that's a very big issue,
Right,
having to do with getting information together and serving them exactly the way they want to be served and anticipating, not reacting, which is what we tend to do.
And it's that whole proactive. I know when today what we want to do is zero call resolution, so that we have gone out to proactively to the customer to explain that there's going to be an issue or something new product that they might be
Right.
interested. And I think that really ties back into the engagement center concept.
Right.
So let's talk about the strategic transformation.
Well,
I finally can say it now, folks.
Well,
I
strategic
practiced.
transformation sounds a little bit sophisticated. But it really relates to the fact that the call center, the contact center, the integration, the customer integration center is now going to be looked at from a business viewpoint, not a functional viewpoint. And what I wanted to do for the latter part of this presentation is to talk about real actions that can be performed today to align your organization with what is going to happen in the next 18 months and the pressures your organization is going to start having.
Perfect.
So there are 3 or 4 key areas, and the first one is channel and tools. You probably have already experienced that you're getting every new digital channel thrown at you,
Right.
because that's just the way it is. And the tools and technology may or may not be catching up, and the information may not be catching up. From my perspective, you got to live through that transition. Change is messy. Chaos is a predictable situation when you're moving into something brand new. So you just have to have the faith and move forward
and embrace it.
Yeah,
It's here to stay,
it
folks.
is.
It's not going
Exactly.
away.
So the
right?
3 things for me that you as a call center professional can do and engage in control are agent behavior and interaction and training, the measurement and reporting that you do, and then the organizational collaboration, which is really something that I want to emphasize and want everyone to remember, because that alone can reposition the call center
Absolutely.
and the contact center.
Absolutely. We talked about communications when we were driving in the car, and so many call centers that we both have worked with, their management doesn't let them know what's going on, and it's just so sad. And especially now, if it's the interactive engagement center, geez, you better get on the stick.
Well,
so
and
they
you have
say.
to act as if it exists, whether or not you do. And don't be shy. Don't be internal. Act differently than you did before, which is go out and seek, go out and share, physically meet with people, and we talk about that a little later on. Again, agents are people who are the human touch that's associated with our this whole process. This particular side, I think we can sort of move through fairly quickly, which is we talk about channels. All of those are coming down on top of the call center
Right.
people. The tools are chat, video. I love co-browsing, which raises issues of privacy,
Yeah.
but people like that. Many people who can't figure out a screen want someone who's at the call center able to also open up their, and this is very Apple,
Yeah,
Apple.
but it's also important where you can, the call center representative can kind of do a join me and say, Mr. Customer, I see where you are on the website.
Right.
Let me show you where you have to click
Yes.
and so forth. And that is becoming extremely popular. And so, folks, that means that your agent should have two monitors on their desktop.
Okay.
The single desktop monitor is out. So
That's
to
a very
speak.
interesting point. In any event, and also customer information, which again we've talked about for 20 years, now has to be integrated across. And more important than ever, it is integrated across every channel and every tool that you actually use. This is preaching to the choir. The one that I think is really the most important slide we want to go to is the agent. The agent is moving from what probably most people have is a hybrid agent, which is, in the old days it was a single channel, now it's a multiple channel. The most important concept here that people have to walk away with is written and verbal skills in agents are the basis of communication. And communication within this world creates transparency. That word we have heard, we have seen, we have been inundated with. It is defined as no deceit. Transparency is a very interesting thing. And because customers...
So you're almost like opening up yourself to be a vulnerable person as an agent.
Yes.
But you want to make that customer feel extremely comfortable and show your own vulnerability to help them. I love
this.
The
Is
word
a very
transparency.
complex set of skills.
Yeah.
This is not reading a script.
Right.
This is not taking and cutting and pasting sections of a chat. This is not a standard email. This is not going to an FAQ and just regurgitating what's there. It is composing in real time. It is and using language that, in this last part, emphasizes insight and empathy, and it is empowered, and we thank heaven, I think we've gotten rid of that word, by the autonomy of the agent.
Yes.
Before it was an issue of your agent sat at a desktop, read the script, they read the script over and over and over again. Now we're walking into a world that really emphasizes autonomy. And again, this is a word that will replace empower. Empower means nothing, but it's I can give you an entire lecture on where empower came from. Autonomy is allowing a person to make decisions. It doesn't mean there's no rules. It's allowing a person to make decisions.
And I also think that the agents then become more advocates to the customer.
Exactly. And maybe
I
you
am
think about the name of the agent.
Right.
Customer advocate is not a bad one. But
Yeah.
we can go on with that later on.
Right.
In any event, so the agents are a huge part of it. The other part, again, is reporting. Reporting and measurement in the early days ended up being internal, always cost containment issues of average cost per call handling. We remember those numbers. What we have now is the ability, and I talked about this before, to go beyond operational measures, to become a barometer for the key business issues that exist in the organization. This concept goes hand in hand with collaborating with the business functions that create the persona for the business with the customer. And they are operations, they are marketing, they are communications.
Right.
And the vehicles have to do with marketing campaigns. You get feedback all the time on marketing campaigns. Do you ever feed that information back to the marketing people, to the business people?
Absolutely.
You get information about operations, operational service issues, other than, complaint tickets. Do you give them information of that nature? Go to the ops people and say, what would you be interested in? Here's some 3 or 4 key things we hear all the time. Is that interesting?
Absolutely.
Is that interesting?
So, that whole concept of organizational collaboration and so forth, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, it is. And it ultimately also speaks to the fact that a measurement of success for the call center, the integrated center of the future, is going to be customer satisfaction and profitability. Because the transactions are on the internet, not at brick and mortar. So they'll start be looking at that.
Right. Well, I cannot believe we're almost at the end of our show, and we have to talk about our think abouts. And so, Francia, if you would just give us 2 takeaways that you think from the list that we talked about that our viewers should implement.
Well, mine is agents and the focus on agent training and skill building, insight, and a process issue, which is autonomy, process and policy issue, and then the measurement and collaboration. Those are within your reach and grasp that you can change today or move to change. And from my viewpoint, are the most important things to start behaving like an integrated center, even if you're not there yet.
So, those of you that have the luxury of having project rooms, take a couple of people together and start thinking.
Right. The quality assurance people, a couple of really top agents, and talk through these.
And talk through that. So, just want to make sure everyone knows how to reach Francia. She is at francia.smith@gmail.com or on her cell. I think I have an incorrect cell number here.
No, that's right. That's her correct cell number, but it's francia.smith1@gmail.com.
And then the cell number is 703-474-1241.
Correct.
And certainly, if you have any ideas on future shows, please Twitter me at Laura Sikorski. And certainly the cell is 631-624-6650. And always, we would like to thank our videographer, Sam Matthew. Thank you so much for today. And of course, Corinne Murphy-Caro, who is the founder and CEO of the Daily Blue, Blue Chip Marketing, and Blueprint Magazine. So she can be reached and her staff at 631-761-9223. And with that, thank you all so much for clicking in, and have a perfect rest of the day.